For a few years now, he has stepped up every time we've asked him to step up. He is behind the scenes at Basket Brigade. He has raised an enormous amount of money to help feed others, which if you're not sure about Basket Brigade, you'll hear about that later. He's a guy who's a geezer. He's a geezer guy, if that makes any difference to you. To me, I'm a bloke, and I like geezer blokes. It's kind of cool. And he's just going to be amazing because I know what he's just experienced in the last few weeks. And so give it up with a big aho. Who knows? Can we do a hose? All right, so let's give it up with a big aho for Tony Snow. Aho! Do it, man.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Fantastic. Good evening, warriors. So is it all right if I call you lot warriors? Yeah. Wow. And that's messed up my next sentence because I thought you was going to go no. So, how many in this room consider themselves a warrior? Wow, now you've really fucked it up for me, you guys. Jesus Christ. So, now there was a big cheer from some warriors, what I call warriors I know out there. And Ian just mentioned I've just come back from a camp in Spain for 5 days where it kicked my ass, it stretched me, it pulled me, and I really grew. And it just happened, our main speaker tonight was the lead warrior trainer, my June, who's obviously going to be fantastic later on. So, that's £50 you owe me. Okay. Absolutely, and I will do. So what's interesting, because I honestly thought that half of you would be going, no, I'm not a warrior. So I've now got to rethink what I'm going to say to you guys. No, but seriously, so what makes a warrior? Now, I did the camp for 5 days, and does that help? Absolutely. But do you need to do a camp to be a warrior? No, absolutely not. So from my point of view, for being a warrior, because I believe that every person in there, now I know probably half of you, and I know a lot of your stories, so I know that you're warriors. And there's probably half here that I do not know, but I also know that every single one of you is a warrior too. So for me, what is a warrior? Yes, I've done the camp, but to me it's a mixture of things. So for example, I read a lot, and I've read more in the last 4 years than I have in the last 40. But of course, knowledge isn't power unless you act. So for me, reading and doing, that's a part of growing. And each time we grow, our comfort zone shrinks and more of the warrior comes out. I've done webinars, I've done seminars, I've done events. Who's done UPW? Who's walked on hot coals? Wow. So whether it's Tony Robbins, whether it's Orion Pinnock, whether it's Alan Klein Hands, it's any of these groups that you go to me, every time I go, I grow, and it kicks my ass. And every time it makes me feel uncomfortable, a little bit of a warrior comes out. Now, the reason I'm here tonight and not in about 3 months' time is because of being a warrior. And let me explain. So about 2 weeks ago, I sent an email to Emma, and I said, I want to be on stage as a YESx speaker. And I've sent it off, and I give a little bit of an outline about what I want to do. And I didn't hear back for about 5 days. So I sent her a reminder saying, Emma, did you receive it? And Emma got back to me. She said, look, I'm in Spain, not at the Enlightened Warrior Camp, may I add. She said, when I get back, I'll get in touch. So she got in touch about a week ago. And she said, Tony, can you send me all the details of what you want to talk about? And we'll take it from there. Now, in my head, it'll be at least June, maybe July. She's going to be booked up, probably August, maybe September. So I'm relaxed about this, and I'm thinking, long time to do my speech, long time. So I was quite chilled. On the Friday, I'm on the train on the way home, and I'm looking at the emails, and one from Emma. So it says, hey, Tony, says, don't forget to send us all the details about your talk. I want to know this, this, and this. And I'm sitting there, yeah, that's not a problem. Right underneath, unless you want to speak next Wednesday. And I'm like, wow. Now, this is the difference. Now, only a year or two ago, 2 things would have happened. The perfectionism in me. Who's a perfectionist here, by the way? Okay, another word for that is procrastinating, right? So, I would have sat there on the train, and I would have been going, oh, God, I need 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and I would never have got it done. At the same time, this is where the voices would have come in. Snowy, you want to be a speaker, don't be silly, they're going to laugh at you, you're not going to talk, you're not going to have enough time, they're going to think you're silly. And all the voices would have come in, and within a couple of seconds, it would have been, no, I'm not doing it. And the email to Emma would have been, thank you, but I'll stick to August or September or October. But in that second, a voice did appear, but it wasn't that voice. And the good news was the voice was, are you a warrior or not? Right? And it's like, yes. So in that second, it was like, you are a warrior, you should take on this challenge. And this is the funny bit. I had a vision of Margene. Not that sort of vision, by the way. I had a vision of Margene just there. And for those that don't know, she's going to come across, so that's a beautiful, gentle woman. But I have seen the warrior in her. You don't want to mess with this woman. So I'm imagining she's like this next to me. And she's looking at me going, Tony, you've just done 5 days in Spain. I've kicked your ass for 5 days. Are you going to turn this opportunity down? Of course. So I've got Margene here. And I'm like, no, do you know what? I want to do that. And what was lovely about this is it didn't take long for me to actually change. And as we know, this changes physiology, changes how we want to act, and the result. And I'm sitting on the train, and I actually got quite excited, and I was actually getting comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. So I'm sitting there, and I think if anyone had known what was going on, I'm sitting, and I could feel the chest coming out. And whoever was next to me, I thought, what the hell is this guy on? Right? Like this. So I was thought, do you know what, I'm taking that challenge. And at the same time, I was thinking, what the fuck am I going to talk about on Wednesday? Because I have my kids coming up that weekend. It left Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night. And there's still a bit of perfectionism in me, okay? But the voices I can handle. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, what to talk about? But I'm really excited. I've got off my station. It's about 6:30, and I had to pick my children up that night. So I've got home, and then as I'm walking down the street, I could feel like I'm growing. And it literally the worry, and my chest is out, and I'm walking down like this. Right? People again must have thought I was mad, right? All the people walking around me like this. And as I got home, first thing I did on the laptop, Emma, I want to talk, but I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. But yes, I want to do it. So I've got in the car, and I've gone to get some food for the kids for the next day. And as I pulled up, I get an email from Emma. Now, she could have said, there's no chance. If you don't know what you're talking about, I'm not putting you on stage. We've had some great speakers. I'm not going to let you fall. But she said, Tony, absolutely you're in. And do you know what? It's a fantastic feeling. I'm sitting in the car outside just to pick my kids up. And then, thank you. Oh. So the first feeling that came up to me was warriors are bigger than any obstacle. Because in the past, that obstacle would have been too big for me. But for me now, I've grown bigger than that. So my challenge, the question I want to ask you guys is, what challenges or obstacles do you have in your life right now that you're letting yourself stop going forward and growing? And what I'd love you to do is when you leave here is really look at that obstacle and understand that you are bigger than whatever's in front of you. Because what we do know, if you don't take that on, you're not going to grow. If you don't grow, you're not going to move forward. So I'm sitting in the car really excited, not only to see my kids, but I'm like, yes, I'm going to talk next Wednesday. So I get in, the 3 kids come down. Now the twins, I have 14-year-old twins, and they come with me every other weekend. I have a 16-year-old who's doing their GCSEs. So the twins are putting their bags in my car. And I'm just about to get in the car, and I thought, no, I want to share this with my eldest daughter, Olivia. So she's 16. I walk back in. And for 2 reasons, really. I mean, a year or 2 ago with the teenage years, my relationship with her wasn't brilliant, but we've managed to get on a really good scale now. So for me, they've come to the basket brigade the last 2 years. So for me, sharing this with her meant a lot. So I went back in, I said, Livs, I want to share something with you. I said, I want to be doing more talking gigs. She said, yeah. I said, well, look, I'm speaking next Wednesday, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. And she's like, really? I said, yeah. And I said, and this is what I want to share with you. I said, because when I was your age at 16, the problem I had was this fear of failure. Now, we know there's no such thing as failure. We call it feedback, or maybe it's the university's way of saying, look, it didn't work that way. Why don't we try another way? And I always encourage, how many parents are in this room? Great. So I've no doubt, like me, that you encourage them and you push them and you get them to take on their challenges. And I do that with my children. And I said to her, look, the problem was when I was your age, I never did that. So I never grew. I never really got out of my comfort zone. And I sat in this little bubble for a long time. And I know if I'd come out of that at that age, so much more would have been achieved. And so that was a really, really lovely moment. But what it made me realize is warriors walk their walk, right? And as a parent, think about this. How the hell can we encourage and support our children and challenge them to take on these big obstacles if we are not doing it ourselves? My daughter, I don't want my daughter or my son or daughter to turn around and go, Dad, but what have you done in the last 6 months to challenge yourself? How the hell can you sit here and encourage and challenge me? So for me at that second, it was really, really important that I did it. But, I mean, it's not just for parents. I mean, there's probably a lot of trainers out here, managers, mentors. You know, there's no doubt you're telling people what to do, so I hope that you're walking the walk, because people can turn around and go, well, you're not doing it yourself. So again, that was a moment when I realised I am walking my walk. And I know the last 4 years, you know, my comfort zone has just shrunk and shrunk and shrunk and shrunk. And like I said, in 5 days in a warrior camp, really, it shrunk even more. So I've got into the car really excited, and I'm driving away, and I'm thinking, what the hell am I going to be talking to you guys about? And I've dropped off the kids, and I'm really excited. And then what I wanted to do, obviously, I wanted to share a bit about the warrior camp. Now, I'm not going to give anything away, because there may be some of you guys that may end up doing the camp maybe in the next year or two. But what I want to do is just share, and obviously I don't want Margene literally having a go at me afterwards, because I've seen her in action. Trust me, you don't want to get on the wrong side of her. So, but this is what I want to share, is there was one exercise we were doing, and out there we're sort of split into tribes and into camps. And there's one exercise we were doing, we were in pairs as well. And I was paired with this lady, and we were doing this exercise. And it wasn't going brilliantly to plan, right? And she was always saying, oh, look, she would do it this way, and she continued to try and get her voice heard. But no one was listening. There was obviously get a lot of leaders at these camps, right? And it got to a stage what we're in, all the warriors went off, and she sat down. She said, I'm not going anywhere. So I said, what do you mean you're not going anywhere? She said, I'm not happy the way it's going. No one is listening to me. She said, I'm staying here. So I said, well, don't be silly. I said, look, we're a team. We need to finish this together, otherwise we're not going to complete it. She said, I'm not doing it. And now what had happened, the crew and the walkie-talkie obviously talking head saying, look, we've got a bit of a problem here. So some warriors come back, and they started trying to persuade her to do. You know, some had their own way of doing it, which was slightly aggressive and which wasn't the right way. And some were cajoling her, right? But she was adamant. I'm not doing it. But this is what she said. She said, I know that the people ahead of us, the warriors, when they find out that what I'm doing, they're not going to like me. In fact, I might get some abuse from them, okay? She said, but I believe what I'm doing is the correct thing to do. And when she said that, I thought, wow, because part of me as a warrior we're still part of a teamwork. So therefore, it's our responsibility, even in times when it's not going well, because obviously as a team, you know, to do things we don't want to do. But when she said that, I sort of thought, that is brilliant. She is a warrior. Because I remember I did Ryan. Has anyone done Ryan Pinnock's course here at all? Okay, and Daniel's in the corner there. And I remember doing Ryan's course a few years ago, and the one thing that stuck in my mind was when he said, most people take the path of least resistance. And at the time I remember thinking, what do you mean? And he's so true. And he told a story. But what it means is most of us here, including me, by the way, is we make decisions based on a lot of other people's reaction, how they're going to react when we make that decision. And we know there's often we make a decision that we might hurt them, right? And it could be close family, and whether it's at work, whether it's in relationships. So what we tend to do is not make that decision. And the problem is we end up making a decision for them rather than for us. And the thing is, I learned that second, warriors don't do that. Warriors are prepared actually to go through the pain of what's going to be coming next because they are a warrior. So to me, warriors are willing to do what others won't. And the funny thing was, as she's sitting there, I could hear the abuse coming through on the walkie-talkie, right, from some people at the other end. And she was sitting there, but her belief was so strong as a warrior. She was like, "This is what I'm going to accept this, and I'm going to take this." So eventually, she's got up, and we're walking. And this is the funny. So when we got back, we eventually made it back to where we were going, and we made it in time. And she didn't get a lot of abuse, and I'll tell you why. This is the funny thing is that people knew that I had a bit of a dodgy hip and a dodgy knee. So they thought we were late because of me. So as I'm walking in like this, she never got much stick. I think there's one or two people that heard. But the story, the lesson that I learned on there, because I don't do that. So my question to you guys right now is, what decisions aren't you making that you should be making because of other people? Because you're frightened of upsetting them or doing something. Because I do it all the time, and I've done it. And even now, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not sure I've still got to that point where my belief overrides maybe my feelings for my family or even work colleagues. And again, this could be in your personal life, it could be in work. And it's interesting because 1 minute she was sitting down there, and in a way I was losing a bit of respect because to me we were as a team. But then once she said that, when I realised, wow, she's prepared to go through the pain because she's a warrior. Now, we get back and we do it, and afterwards we have a debrief, and you know, she gets up and she talks about it. So for me, that was a massive, massive learning curve. Now, I know most of you probably know is what we see in others or in ourselves, right? Other people are a reflection of us, right? And what I find myself doing a lot of the time now is if I see something in someone I don't like, I say, okay, so what is that about me? What can I learn from this? And what was interesting about that, the lesson for me, apart from that, was I do what she does. And what she did, because she wasn't in control of her journey, so she knew the destination. All of us warriors had the same destination to get somewhere. So whatever your goal you've got, and with me, what I've always known is, I know where I'm going, but the problem I've always had is I need to be in control of that journey. And I've never let enough people in to guide me in different ways. I was too closed. I was like this. And what I realized is because the reason she wasn't happy, because it wasn't going the way that she thought it should go. And she wasn't open to different journeys and different ways in. And I looked at that. And so, for example, apart from learning that and her earning my respect, and I think everyone's respect, what it made me realize is, Tony, you do exactly that, especially in business. And I know up until recently, I was still doing that. I was procrastinating. I was trying to control every single thing going. And I wasn't allowing other people into my life to take me on a different journey. So again, the question to you guys, is there something going on right now where you're so want to control where you're going that you're not allowing other people in to take you? Because the destination can still be the same. But the thing is, if other people come into your life and it take you a different way, it might be that your destination changes. And that comes because you're on a journey of learning and growth. So for me, two things come out of that. And I come away from there. And the interesting thing is in the last probably couple of months, I've started to allow other people into my lives. And my procrastination has got better. And for me, doing little things like that has really helped. So for me, the warrior, and it's interesting, it was only when I realised I was talking to you guys tonight, and the theme that I decided to choose was how much of a warrior all of us do have. And the question is, are you accessing your warrior? Now, I know some of you are because I've seen a lot of you do it. Or are you playing too small? Now, that's the question I want you to go away and go to yourself. What are you really doing? Those 3 points that I've got, I hope you go away, think about your life, personal and business, and challenge yourself more. And the whole point is, how do we get the warrior to come out to play? Thank you very much.
Tony Snow.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
In a moment, I'm going to ask you to turn around.
All right.
Now.
All right. Thank you.
A standing ovation.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, warriors. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Great job.
You, thank you very much.
I'm suspecting that anecdote had something to do with peaks. Yeah. Cool. Tony, isn't that great? I love that.